Okay, I think the stream quality is going to be better when I use the mobile device like this here. So, for the time being, I'm going to assume that I'm just going to um, stream on this device until I can figure out what I want to do with the actual um, PC device and such like that. So, I'm fine with this right now. I just have to move my keyboard around a little bit to make room from the command center that I had set up specifically for this. So it's possible that I might end up doing yet another test until I really get familiar with the streaming and stuff like that. So I am a relative noob when it comes to the streaming aspects. So hopefully this is a better option. So um, main thing is we need to get like I said, a sound check like we did before. Make sure things sound okay, and then we can actually get started with the legitimate content that I actually prepared for this evening. So it's probably a good thing that I started early at like 10:45 or whatever, because it was kind of a circus show so far. We are coming around though. Stand by just a little bit. Alright, so I got at least one person that confirmed that the sound is good, so that's good. Alright, so I have my chat up here so I can both chat and play in game. I am going to try and keep it sort of close to my face so that it sounds, somewhat decent. I'll try and maintain consistent sound quality. So, what we got here? We got a few people in here. I'm guessing people will start strolling in eventually, unless I really miss the mark with the um, what do we call it? The time zones. But I will do better times in the future. This was just meant to be a first run to see how things are going to go. So let's start out with a couple of basics here, and this will benefit anybody who watches it afterwards too. So I'm gonna sort of pretend that you're there and not there at the same time, but yeah, I don't know if I can get back into that number two now. To be honest here, that's probably a good idea though to see if we could switch them. But the event should say that it's done with. Um, I wonder if there's actually people in there. I'm just going to take a quick look in the live control room out there and see if people are in there. There's other people in there, I think. Maybe not. I can't see where the chat is on that one. I just left a chat message in there that says to switch to the other one. So hopefully that's good and well. And then I'm going to go back to my other one. Sorry about the delay. Okay, so let's start with the basics to begin with here. So, what is the purpose of both my streaming as well as the reason why I post videos? That's a good question to start with. So, I don't tend to identify myself as your stereotypical YouTuber, although I do feel like I identify with some of the properties that they identify with. But basically, I did not start making videos just to try and make a shitload of money on YouTube or something like that, or to become famous or something like that. That's the farthest from it, actually. I started making videos because of guild participation. Basically, I wanted to do something for the guild that actually helped. So, in our guild, the Justice League, we have a large collection of various chats. One of them is to go over boss mode mechanics, stuff like that. So people would basically post screenshots of how they beat various boss mode stages. I personally did not do well with just seeing a screenshot of the team that was used. So my plan was to beat boss mode myself. And at the time, I thought boss mode was going to be the next latest and greatest thing. And I thought that was going to be basically where we got all of our greater and superior runes, and that really didn't end up being the case. But at the time, nobody was really posting anything to do with boss mode at all. And so I felt like there was a niche there. And I'm like, you know what? If nobody's recording anything about boss mode, I felt like I would just record them and place them out there. And if you go way, way, way back to the first few videos I did, they were pretty horrible at the time. They didn't have any audio. I tried to put in little tooltips on the screen. It was very time consuming just to do one video. And so then I ultimately looked into some screen recording stuff, found out that one of my phones actually had a screen recording thing on it, and I felt like, oh, if I just record some audio at the same time as I'm recording my screen, I can splice them together and make an actual legitimate video. Long story short, I ended up using just the Windows 7 Windows Movie Maker. It's just a very bland and easy to use program, but that's basically what happened. So I started trying to make a little bit better quality videos with actual audio, and actually, making them worth a while. Yeah, I see that there's other people in the other chat. People are slowly funneling in here, but being that the other one is ended, they should realize that there's nothing streaming there anymore, and hopefully they make their way out here. If not, we'll address that in the next stream, and hopefully get everybody on board in the right one. Like I said, when I launch the stream from my tablet, it seems like it doesn't go to an actual event, so I have to look to see how that actually works. I'm guessing a bunch of people went to the actual scheduled event, and they're probably out in a sort of purgatory there. But it is what it is. They'll find their way. But yeah, so anyways, recording the videos is just something that I like to do. It does take a lot of time and energy, so the fact that I monetize them is, a fair assessment, I guess. But as far as a career in filmmaking or making YouTube videos or anything like that, certainly not on my forefront. So if I make a few dollars here or there, great. But ultimately, my plan is to give back to viewers. I mean, I'm not doing it for my own personal financial gain. So that being said, what I wanted to touch on was the 500 subscriber extravaganza, if you will. And I know there's not many people listening in just yet, but anybody that tunes in late, you'll pick up on it eventually. Essentially what the plan is, and honestly I wasn't expecting to hit 500 so soon. I thought I had another couple of weeks to deal with it, but I feel like it's going to hit 500 by the end of the weekend here. I did have a plan, and the plan is to do basically a giveaway. So I've talked with Dungeon Boss on 2 separate occasions, and it's a little bit of a nuisance, and no offense to them, but both times they basically just blew me off. So apparently my account or my channel is apparently not good enough for Dungeon Boss yet. So we will handle that as we approach 1,000 subscribers, I guess. So my goal is to basically get more subscribers than the actual Dungeon Boss channel, and when that happens, then we can actually expect some in-game, giveaways, and I can actually give people tokens and stuff. And so basically, I'm waiting for that. But I tried 2 times, separated out a couple of months apart. Talked to people in customer service. They pretty much refused to give me contact information to anybody who could actually make a difference. And so basically, as of this point, I do not have any official giveaways for in-game content. So if you're looking to score some cool tokens or something like that, and that's what we got. So in order to circumvent that, I'm working on a way to basically, I'm going to give away a gift card instead. So I will give away a $50 gift card for the 500 celebration. Obviously, it's certainly not much, but it's something. I'm going to give away a $50 gift card, which will be pretty cool for some. And that will be either on Android or it will be on the Apple Market or the iStore. I don't really know what it's called. I don't use a lot of Apple devices. So the issue with this though is apparently, at least for me, it is a major hassle to try and set up an actual contest. So I'm working on logistics with that. And like I said, I thought I had a few weeks to sort this out, but I may not actually have that. So while my intention is to give away a $50 gift card, I don't know the exact avenue that that's going to pursue. So I do have two things in mind that I want to do. I'm not going to divulge those just yet because I don't know how viable they're actually going to be in terms of setting them up. So just a little side note, I found some other websites and stuff to help with contests and stuff, but some of them are charging like $30 a month, and that's not going to be really feasible for me to do here. So I can't pay a service like that and try to do giveaways. So once I find some sort of a free anything, should be a little bit better. Anyways, oh, that's actually a good idea. We should. I always say it's like once we're doing videos, it seems to be like I kind of have a responsibility to troll people. So before we get into any of the stuff that I have planned, we could just see if anybody's interested in being trolled here. I gotta move this. So I'm just, we'll get a little bit of trolling on there. Um, and anyways, back to why do I do these? Why am I going to do these streams here? So I like to interact with people in Gen Chat all the time. I felt like I was on more than other people. Now I've personally seen Starscream in chat a few times. Talked to him a little bit. Great guy, and he's just you know he's a great streamer. Definitely like his content. As far as Zombie, I've never actually spoken to Zombie. He's obviously on a way different time zone, so we've never really crossed paths in Gen Chat either. I've never reached out to him. He's never reached out to me. It's not a big deal. I mean, we do our separate things. I've always said from the very beginning too that I've made it a very strong point to not duplicate any of their content. So while they had the things that they did, I was busy working on boss mode walkthroughs and stuff like that. So I was very respectful of their stuff and wasn't trying to rehash any of their stuff. So, anyways, and we got somebody in live chat here. And here we go. On the air right now. Anyways, let's start looking into actual content then before it gets to be too late. I know it's a late start time to begin with, so without trolling people too much here, we'll circle back to that as needed. So what do we got planned for tonight? So I wanted to touch on a couple of things before we open it up, and that's part of why I wanted to do these live sessions. Is a lot of people, like I said, I like to interact with people in chat and help as much as possible. I do get quite a few comments on the actual videos, and it's always nice to be able to help people. So helping people live is always fun as well. So that's why I'm doing these here. So I don't know what the overall expectation is going to be. Obviously, I'm not some oracle of the game. I don't have the answers for everything. I've been moderately successful so far. Have a reasonably high hero roster. Have all of the heroes. Most of them are leveled and ascended. So, I mean, I have all the tools necessary. As far as runes and stuff go, I'm definitely way behind in runes compared to some of the super elite. And as far as PvP, we're going to do some PvP tonight. I am currently, I said I think in a different video that we're planning on doing some Legend 1 PvP. I didn't do any today at all, so I didn't actually bump up to level Legend 1. So we're going to do some Legend 2. I haven't been a boss top 100 yet, so that's largely due to not participating in PvP that much. I do enough to get to legend these days, and that's about it. So could I get to boss 100? It's really tough. If I have the appropriate amount of time to do so, I think I could. With this last season where there was the glitch at the very end, I was making a push for it, and then everybody noticed the glitch was out there, and the trophy counts just skyrocketed overnight. There was no way for me to catch up. But at my best point, I was actually about 2 or 3 thousand trophies off of position 100, and by the time the morning came around, it was off by about 20,000. It exploded so bad. Anyway, so let's get to the first thing that I wanted to do tonight. So we'll just do one little quick message out here. All right, so the first thing I wanted to address was the, what do we call it? The tower. I saved my tower just specifically for running in this session here. So the tower itself is one of those nuisance things that us level 70s, we've been asking for some sort of a quick loot on the tower or something to make it a little bit more bearable. Just because it's kind of a waste of our time, and it's like basically once we've beat it essentially with no heroes dying, a lot of us felt like we should just get a daily mail with 300 gems to compensate us for it and say, we know you did good at the tower, do your thing. The only other reason to do the tower is actually the pawn shop, and that's one of the things that I'll mention here. So when I do the pawn shop, I basically just buy stamina these days. That's pretty much why I have essentially 3,500 stamina, and I'm not doing a lot of hero farming. Lately, over the last week or so, I've decided that I was going to purchase the. You can see I have a ton of cups here, and I'm kind of a hoarder when it comes to resources like that. I don't like to waste stuff because I know as soon as I spend these down to nothing, there's going to be a new hero in here, and it's going to be exclusive to the tower, and I'm not going to have the cups to get him, and it's going to be super depressing. But over the last 2 weeks, because Shade is in here, Shade and Koros both have really great Aether. They're both 25 a pop, so we get 75 for here and 75 for here. And Aether is important to me right now because I don't have Ember or Arya maxed out. So I'm keeping them, but on the same front, I'm very, very cautious about spending my Aether as well. So recently, I just spent like 30,000 Aether to get my Hopper to 6-star. So I thought that was the best use of it at that point. So I'm a little bit afraid to spend any more of it because I know that there's going to be a new hero coming out there probably too. There is going to be a new hero release with the guild games that should be sort of public knowledge. It's something that came up in our summit group, so we've been talking about it. There's going to be another guild games coming soon, sometime in July, and it is going to have a new exclusive hero. So we can ship Darius out of the way, and there will be a new one that's coming in there. Anyways, let me show you the what I do with my tower here. So there's a lot of different tower teams out there at this point here. A lot of people like to run the undead team. Honestly, the undead team runs really great. They're durable. Most of the time they can make it through pretty much the entire tower, unless you get some max level Kiros in here. And actually, there's very few of them in here. My undead could probably clear this entire tower without dying. Provided that Yorick does his heals every now and then, should be good. The other team is pretty much Yasmin and some beasts. So Yasmin and then like Bolvis and Grognog, that's a big one. Yasmin and then Valken and Bolvis, or Valken and Grognog, that's another one. What I've been using though is because I don't want to deal with defenses going first, I like to use a little bit of it's basically an epic fast team. And so I use, for starters, Torchy and Shadowblade. The reason that I picked these two is because their epics are so strong. If either of them triggers, they're going to clear the room unless Furnace is in there. So that's basically why I picked these two. Or if it's a level 70 and there's some, heavily armored ones. And then after that, I will always pick Yasmin for healing. Because if neither of these guys do their epics, she will at least get a turn. I don't like to use four fast ones because then you never get healing. And then after Yasmin, I always use Bolvis because his epic is pretty strong as well. So it's nice to, have a whole bunch of basically AoE attacks. And we won't do the whole tower. It's going to be kind of a waste of time to do so. But I do the entire tower pretty much on auto run until somebody dies. And then usually it's Torchy that dies first. And then Shadow Blade soon after. And so what I'll end up doing is I just replace them with Shade first, and then Kira second, and then usually, unless there's a really bad team, they will carry on indefinitely. So here's the first epic. There's one dead, two dead, and three dead. And so Torchy does the same basic principle. He just kills everything that moves. So we'll do a couple of floors here just so we can see what it actually looks like. Um, the worst thing that can happen is after the fast round. When the enemy fast goes, they can kill Torchy and they can kill Shadowblade sometimes before Yasmin can heal. If she doesn't pop her epic, obviously we're running into some problems there. So if we have good solid auto runs, this only takes a few minutes to roll through. A lot of times, to be honest, I don't even pay attention to it. I just have my phone sitting on my desk and I'll just set it up once, auto it. If somebody dies, I just pick whoever's at the top of the list. Usually it's like Femus or Rocky or somebody that doesn't even matter, and I'll just add them in there. And every time somebody dies, I just keep replacing them without even really looking at the phone. So again, nothing really too dangerous here. They did take some damage, but ultimately Yasmin's going to heal them probably before they end up dying. That's usually how it goes. Um, but it does rely heavily on a couple of epics triggering, especially when you go against fast dungeons because they will attack before you. So we'll do a couple of floors here. We'll see if we actually die at all anywhere. And then once we die, we can just back off. Now that it's started, it's going to carry over past midnight for me anyways. So I don't have to worry about not getting it done. And this will kill both of them. Alright, so I think one more floor ought to do it. Let's see if there's a tough one. So like I said, usually they do die if they don't heal. Um, I don't think this floor... There are some 70s in there, so it's possible they might do something, but I'd like to see an epic trigger here. And most of the time it's just waiting for the dungeon to load. I guess that's the longest part of doing this rather than actually doing it. Once you put it on auto, if they just mass kill everything. And that's Bolvis for you. That's why I like him. Alright, so you kind of get the idea why I like this team. But like I said, there's a lot of tower teams on there. Honestly, once you get to the end game content, the tower's pretty easy, so it's not really a big deal. So let me back out of here then. I don't think there's going to be any real opposition here, other than the. Actually, I'll do one more. We'll get to that Rocky Snakes. That's actually what I was going to work into next. So I wanted to show a neat little team for handling the Rocky Snakes team. I did do a video a couple weeks ago about handling the reptiles. And I basically did reptiles versus reptiles for a bunch of them. And it was a pretty fun team, but it did rely on a little bit of RNG. And some people didn't like that. And I agree because if you're relying on RNG to win a PvP match, you're kind of already, you know, at a loss, I guess.